Welcome everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing great. I hope everyone is all right and everything is treating you well in life. This is the intro to the fourth video in the NV4500 swap. In this video, I'm basically just going to be bolting up the transmission, and we're going to be kind of fabricating the 4x4 bracket so it can move back a little bit. Or move forward, I forget. It's in this video because this video is kind of shot a little bit out of sequence. So there is modifications that need to be done to the 4x4 bracket. And then also, I believe in the previous video, I was talking about a electrical connector for your backup switch. I have it right here. It looks like this. So it's essentially just two little wires. One's a power, one's a ground. It's completing a circuit for a ground, and it kind of looks like this. It's got like a little clip on top, and it's got a little rubber sort of grommet right in there, and you just plug that onto the top of the transmission. This is the 98 version. I kind of have a Frankenstein transmission, and yeah, this is what we're going to be wiring into that a little bit later. That's actually going to be the next video, because also something in the next video that I'd like to introduce is the coolant. So the coolant for the manual transmission actually requires just a 90-degree elbow on the side of the block from the sort of engine oil cooler. It's kind of near that area. I'll show you. And that goes to the transmission fluid cooler for the automatic. You're not going to need that anymore for the manual. And I actually had ordered a part from Cummins to get that elbow, because you can't really use brass. You can use steel. There's galvanic corrosion that happens with the brass one and the coolant. So you have to use a steel or black steel one. I'll show you that right now in this next segment. But also, yeah, with all that being said, this video is just basically going to be putting in the transmission and also the transfer case. Okay guys, so this is the section for the coolant here. So this is kind of like the front of the engine bay, and if you come over here towards the side with the air cooler, you'll see back in there that big old like kind of drum looking thing. That's your transmission oil cooler. So right back there, we're going to be removing that, and there's a line that comes from that. And essentially, let me see if I can get it for you. So it's actually that line right there that's right next to your oil filter, and that's got the triple T that gets bolted in right below your alternator. And then there's going to be another line right there. You can kind of see it right there, that little elbow hose. That actually just needs to get threaded in with a plug, essentially. I have the plug. That will be in the next video. As soon as the elbow comes in, I'll be able to make the video and show you guys what I'm going to be doing to plug off the coolant section. And then now we're just going to be getting into installing the transmission, just kind of getting the rest up to par. Alright guys, hopefully I didn't bore you with a super long time lapse, but what we did is we installed the advanced adapters aluminum bell housing here. They came with like 4 gigantic bolts, and then some split washers right here. And then what we did is we installed a pivot ball back in there. I picked one up on eBay for like 15 bucks. And then I got this clip that clips onto your clutch fork. And I got this clip for, I think it was like $2 or $1 at 4x4 Auto Parts. I think this is a Luke, however you pronounce it, clutch fork. I think I got this on eBay as well. This is a thrust bearing right here, and this was a part of the Clutch America Clutch Max kit I got on eBay. I'm not trying to drag strip race this freaking thing, so just gonna, go first. I think I got a stage 2 clutch, so it's like 500 horsepower, and it's a 13-inch disc. I put a very, very light amount of grease on here, and on the inside of the actual thrust bearing, it seemed to be greased already. And you grease the foot here and the foot down there, and it should rock a little bit. I just put a little bit of grease. It's not going to come in contact with anything on the transmission, so we shouldn't really worry about it too much. Very light amount of grease. So now we're going to install the flywheel and the whole rest of the clutch. Okay guys, I hope you can see me okay. I hope you can see everything that's going on all right. It's kind of crazy to figure out everything down here and try to figure out how to put everything together, but we're going to install our flywheel now. I took like two paper towel and some brake clean and just brake cleaned the heck out of the flywheel. And you really want to make sure it's super clean when you put it on, because it's just like brakes. You don't want to have, you know, grease on there and then you get chatter, or, you know, it starts slipping and stuff like this. Now this is a pretty heavy flywheel. This is super heavy for me. It's way heavier than the Flexplate, so this should be interesting. I'm going to try to kind of get it up on here now, and then we're going to grease the pilot bearing. I took like I don't know what size socket, but I took the pilot bearing and set it on top of the flywheel, and took a piece of wood and smacked it with the hammer, and I got it started. And then I took a socket that fits on the outer race and I smacked it in the rest of the way. So all of my efforts to keep this clean is gone. I'm just gonna get one started, and then I'm gonna Loctite the rest of them. I think it's recommended. These also get torqued down to 101 foot-pounds. Guys, hope you can see me all right. I have this like outer shaft part facing out, and the lettering on the clutch friction disc facing outwards, so I think that's the right way. So I have like the other side of the friction disc is like flat in the center where the bearing and everything like rests. This outer side that's going to be facing the transmission has this like half shaft right here. That's how I put it back together. I wiped down the flywheel like 6 or 7 times, really making sure it's super clean, making sure it's on there really good. I torqued down all of the bolts to 101 foot-pounds, and I really made sure I went around twice and made sure, and I blue Loctited them. So now we're going to put on the pressure plate, and I cleaned the other side of the pressure plate as well. That'll touch this friction disc material. So we're just going to put it on. I have the alignment tool right there. So it doesn't even say on the Clutch America clutch disc thing, this pressure plate, like where, like to align anything. I don't see any like colors or marking or anything like that. Actually, before, yeah, so I don't see any like coloring or marking or anything like that, but we're gonna install this. Alright guys, I really needed to test to make sure that my truck will start with this flywheel. And what I did is, you're gonna have a plug that comes out of the side of your 47RE, and it's got a purple with a black stripe wire, a brown with a green stripe wire, and a black with a white stripe wire. And the black with the white stripe wire is the ground for your neutral safety switch on the 47RE. And I went to go try to start my truck to test if whether or not the flywheel fits for my vehicle, and it does. But what I had to do is ground out the black wire here, and I just basically took a self-tapper in one of the holes that already exist on the bottom of the boot, and I made sure that the truck does start and it's good. Once I kind of get a couple of them in enough to get it held on, we want to go around in a star pattern, evenly tightening this down, and we want to get it as even as possible because we don't want it off center. Okay guys, I'm not sure where I'm at in this process here. It's been ridiculous. So I've had to assemble this and then disassemble it because I snapped the bolt or a piece of hardware that came with this kit in the flywheel. It's ridiculous. So my pressure plate bolts are not torqued down to 45 foot-pounds. They're not torqued down to 40 foot-pounds. They're torqued to like between 20 and 30 foot-pounds. So I'm going to torque them to about 25, 27-ish foot-pounds and call it a day. That's what All Data says and a bunch of forums. So if you have a dual disc clutch or a different setup that requires you to torque them down to 45 to 40 foot-pounds, that's on you. However, I've already broken bolts and had to get some new ones. So, and also some of the hardware that already came with this kit, the threads were kind of bad to begin with. So torque it down properly. It's why it's really important to pay attention and read directions and do research. It's very, very, very important, because this is like almost the second time I'm doing this. We do it right because we do it twice. Alright everyone, I'm super excited. I basically tightened up the bell housing to the transmission. It turned out really great. We got the mount in right there for the transmission. It bolted right up. I got a new used one on eBay, so I guess we'll have to do with that. You can get a new one for pretty cheap, so I don't know, in the future maybe swap it out, I don't know. The bracket bolted up awesome. Found this on eBay, got super lucky for that. Super happy. The cross member bolted up just fine. You want to move it up and in because it is tapered and like bent. There's a slight angle on each side, so you want to move it up and then in. So we got this in. I did start my truck at some point in time to check to see if it'll run with the flywheel, and it does. So I've taken it off since then and then put it back on because I accidentally over torqued the pressure plate bolt. Yeah, the pressure plate bolts do get torqued down to like 20 to 25 foot-pounds. I don't know what's up with 40, 45. Just, you know, I wouldn't recommend torquing it much more. They're small bolts. So I think right now I'm going to, we're going to test the truck and see. I filled the transmission up with fluid. Let me show you that in 1 second. Okay guys, this is the transmission fluid that I am running in this transmission. I know that on here it actually says, right there, NV4500, a new process. It's really important to get the proper fluid, like API GL4, because I know that the NV4500, like carbon fiber synchro discs, like they really need the proper fluid. So I recently had a subscriber tell me that you can also use another fluid, Redline. I think it's their 7590 GL4 fluid you can also use in the NV4500, and it's cheaper than AMSOIL. So I guess after running this around for a while. I don't know, I'll probably switch out the fluid because this transmission is rebuilt. It's much cheaper, and apparently you can run it as well. So I think his name is Sirius. So I'm really appreciative of that. Yeah, so right now we're gonna try to go start up the truck and see if it works before we slide on the transfer case. Okay guys, super stoked. Got the transfer case bolted right in. If anyone's wondering, I needed to get new studs. So the studs are like an M10 by 1.5, and then the other side I think is a 3/8 by 24. So it's like a fine thread on one side and then a coarse thread on the other side. And I think I put the two new studs on top. I forgot the gasket at first to bolt up next to the transmission, so I put the gasket in, put the transfer case in. Everything's bolted up and ready to go, so now we're going to put in the drive shafts. Hey everyone, so I'm continuing to work on the 4x4 section of the conversion, and I'm running into a few issues that I'm wondering if anybody else has run into, but I think I have a solution. So the manual transmissions, they actually don't have this collar at all, and it's pretty straight. Not only that, I'm noticing like the holes are in a completely different spot, but it's really hard to find a 4x4 bracket for manual transmissions on a second gen, and this is only for 1994 to 1997 Dodges. I think from 1998 to 2001 it's a completely different thing, like it bolts to the floor. But I can even like look in here too, there's just a couple tack welds, and I was looking at a ton of pictures from a 4x4 manual shifter that I could find, and they seem identical. The only difference is that this is cut off and doesn't exist, and there's a hole like right where my thumb is, like right in this section, and then there's also one like equidistant right over here that would fit on the manual. So I'm wondering if I'm just going to try to cut these tacks off and cut this collar off with an angle grinder, and then I'm just going to drill two new holes. One here, you can almost see like the outline for it too right there, and then I'm going to try to cut another one like right in this section right here. So I'm going to get to that, and we're going to see how that works. So all right, we cut the so I was showing you kind of what we needed to cut off for the 4x4 shift bracket, and that's up there. There's a bolt there and there's a bolt back there, so you can kind of see there's a hole. That's from the factory. I had cut off that that collar that I was showing you in the previous segment just a little bit ago. I cut that out and I drilled those two holes right there. You could pretty much use the same bracket. The only issue that I'm noticing I'm having right now that I thought I would need to address, but maybe I can address in the future, is my 4x4 this sort of the locking mechanism that goes on this shaft. I need to adjust it back and forth. I'm not able to. It is in 2-wheel drive, and I'm able to get 4-wheel drive, but I don't think I can get 4-wheel drive high or low, the last setting. So my shifter is actually just kind of slightly, it's not all the way forward like it should be. That's okay. So yeah, the transmission is completely bolted up. I have all the torque specs in the description below. The clutch went in okay. I did snap a couple bolts on the pressure plate because they are not supposed to be torqued down for my application to like 40 foot-pounds or more. Mine were 20. My front drive shaft, I believe, is going to need to be shortened. So the rear drive shaft does need to be lengthened a little bit. It's not too bad, but you know, it sticks out just a hair. There is just a slight amount of space right here. It was probably about like an inch or so, maybe half an inch, anywhere between half an inch to an inch and a quarter, just kind of sticking out. But I replaced the boot for the transfer case and had filled it up with fluid, so that's all good. The drive shaft is in. I had tried to take a video, but came out like crap, so we're not going to use it. This is the clocking orientation I was seeing in the previous video. My P.T.O was not working at first for this, and so I needed to, at first I had it clocked this way, but I turned it and was able to push it in a little bit more, and then this clamp, this metal clamp right here, was able to hold that on, so that's good. The only other thing, since I've owned the truck, I'm not sure why, but the vent for the transfer case is like not mounted anywhere. I'll need to figure out a place to where it mounts or if it gets connected. I'm pretty sure this is just a vent. So yeah, I hope that this new seal is not leaking, because it is a new seal. Everything is completely resealed and good to go, so this should really help you guys too. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. All right guys, that's gonna conclude today's video, and I think that's gonna conclude the whole series. Man, this was a crazy journey. I've had to move the transmission around. I've had to do a lot of things on the back end to make it work. And like, as far as the shifting goes, the truck has been awesome. It's been fun to drive. I love it. It's great. It's responsive. It works. It's really cool. It's great. I think though, one issue I'm running into might be the fluid. So I noticed that I actually don't have enough fluid in there. I've been chasing down some leaks where the rebuilding shop just didn't put enough like silicone around certain areas, so I've been having to clean that up and re-silicone it and stuff. And a subscriber actually had mentioned a new oil to try, and it's this stuff. Not sponsored or anything, but it's Redline MT85, and it even says like on here it's for like the NV4500, and I've read on some forums that a lot of people have some good luck with it, so I'm gonna try to overfill it a little bit and just play around with the fluid levels and see how it shifts from there. I can get around just great. It's super fast and responsive. It's different, and it's great. I'm super excited. So yeah, if you loved the video and you thought it was super helpful, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see some more future videos. I'll have a lot of information in the description below, and we'll keep it going. So if I have anything else to add, you'll see those in future videos. So other than that, thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you in the next one.